Hello everyone, this is Kathlyn Hinesley with Exploring Dimensions for All. And I want to make a video about the Mandela effect. I was a little bit surprised to notice that most of the videos out there now on YouTube call the Mandela effect a conspiracy theory or crazy or something like that, when just about 4 years ago there was some very serious discussion about it. I definitely have experienced it, and I definitely remember what my memories were and what they are. I have no question about it at all. And I think that it's proof of parallel dimensions at the very least, but there are a lot of other possible explanations. Some of you may not know what it is, so I'll just briefly go over it. For me, it did start actually with Mandela. I had some friends from South Africa in the 1980s, in the early 80s, when I was still a teenager. And I heard about what was going on with apartheid in South Africa, and I learned about Nelson Mandela. And then in the late 80s, I remember something about him dying in prison. And, well, I heard something about him dying in prison actually in the late 80s. I think it might have been 88 or something like that. And then I remembered that he became the leader of South Africa. And when that happened, I thought, oh my goodness, well, I thought he died, but I guess I misremembered. Maybe I just got it wrong or something. But I had seen a news article or something on the television about it, and so I'm quite sure that I did experience that. Then what happened was in 2010, I went to the bookstore and I saw that the Berenstain Bears, I think, the title of it changed, and it changed so much, the spelling changed so much, that I thought, well, gosh, those poor people probably lost the copyright. They probably had to agree to change the name of it, and they were probably paid off or something like that. I made an excuse in my mind for what I could be seeing, and it kind of continued like that for the next few years. So I started teaching English overseas, and in 2011, I found myself in Indonesia with a curious problem. And the problem was, most of my life I hadn't remembered exactly how to spell banana. And my problem was that I didn't know where to put the double N. So when I was little, I was always confused about if it was B-A-N-N-A-N-A or if it was B-A-N-A-N-N-A. And even back then, it almost seemed like it was changing because I just couldn't remember how to spell it. So by this time I had a class of second graders, and I thought, well, I've got to be able to spell apple and banana and orange and these things. This is getting so ridiculous. So I went to the Oxford English Dictionary. I believe it was the 2009 edition. I looked it up, and it said that banana was spelled B-A-N-N-A-N-A. So then I thought, okay, well, all I've got to remember is there's a double N after the first A in banana. It's not after the second A. So I memorized that, and I taught that. And then later on, I was teaching English in Cambodia, and I noticed that banana online was now spelled B-A-N-A-N-A. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe they decided to do that in order to make it easier for English language learners. And I started to see that a lot of brand names in stores and things like that were changing as well. Like there used to be, in my memory, a Jiffy peanut butter, and it turned into Jif. And then I remember one day in 2014, I went to the store to look for some turmeric, T-U-M-E-R-I-C, and it was spelled turmeric, T-U-R-M-E-R-I-C. And I thought, well, that is lame of the seasoning company. It was an American seasoning company. I thought, gosh, they just misprinted the labels and they didn't even want to spend the money to change them back again. That's crazy. Like, why would they do that? They should realize they made a mistake on the label. So I kind of kept making excuses, but then because I do channel spirit guides from time to time, I was one day, I think it was 2013 or 2014, I was channeling, and I got this information, and it came in, and what it said was, vibrations are speeding up, and people will vibrations are speeding up, and people will start losing their memories. And I wrote it down. And it wasn't until 2016, after I had made lots and lots of excuses for many, many things, such as the disappearance of Curious George's tail, because he always had a tail and now he doesn't or whatever. And I noticed on the map that South America had moved, that it used to be under North America, but it had moved to the east considerably. And I started to watch a lot of videos on the Mandela effect. I learned about what it was, and what it was is that many, many people were remembering things differently than they currently appeared. And I became interested in this theory, and I started to go to antique bookstores to see if I could find old maps. And I wasn't able to find any that reflected my memories, but there were people at that time, back in 2016, who were posting a lot of like remnants. So they were posting logos and titles of things and pictures and clips from Star Wars and various other things that had changed. And they were posting like examples of how they had been in the past and then examples of how they are now. One guy had a world map, I think, showing the distribution of oil companies that he had saved in like an old book. And it just showed like in the world, I believe, where the oil company was operating or something. And it showed South America where I remembered it being. Sri Lanka also moved in my memory. It used to be to the far south of India, and then it ended up kind of moving to the east and to the side. The most alarming thing that I experienced was actually in 2013. I was in Malaysia. Now, I do not remember if I was in a bus station or an airport, but there was a television screen and I was in a transportation hub of some sort. And they were announcing the death of Zsa Zsa Gabor. This was 2013. And they had a series of like news things about her life, and they talked all about her name and how, what it meant and how it originated and the history of her life and how she had died and things like that. And then in 2016, I was in Canada and I was waiting at the Vancouver airport. And it was in December of 2016. It might have been 2015. Anyway, it was a couple of years later, and I was in the airport, and lo and behold, they were announcing Zsa Zsa Gabor's recent death. And by this time, I'd done a lot of looking online about the Mandela effect. So I knew that this was possible and that people were calling into question whether or not Mandela had died twice, right? Once, I think, in 2013 and once in the early 80s. And they were calling into question about whether Muhammad Ali had died more than once, which I remembered. And so I thought, well, this is okay. She's just gone and died twice, just like other people. And I never really questioned my memory, but I did start questioning the nature of dimensions and parallel universes and things like that. And at that time, when people were talking about it freely online, and they weren't like attributing it to false memory, which is what you'll find now if you go online, I thought, well, this could be CERN. They were talking about how there were some experiments going on in Switzerland with a super hadron collider, I guess, and it was speeding up vibrations to try to find black holes. And some people were saying that this could have caused like a splitting of the universe. And then there was another situation where there was a certain type of computer, I believe Elon Musk talks about it, which operates in a certain way where it actually has to use, I hope I'm reporting this correctly, it has to like use the existence of other dimensions to operate, like it kind of operates on that principle. At least that's what I understood from the videos that I watched on it, but now I don't remember the name of the computer, so it's, that's not great. I did try to do some research for this video on the Mandela effect to remind myself about things, but all I can find now are examples of why it's a false memory and why it's a conspiracy theory. So I gave up. I have a positive thought about all this. For those of you who may remember different spellings and different names, I'll tell you about that in a second. I do want to say that my brother and my father remembered the original spelling of banana. I worked with a gentleman that did, but most of my friends and family members do not remember the spelling that I remember. Many people remember different things. There was at one point I was working with a man, and he was in a bit of a panic once he learned that the spelling of banana had been changed and that there was no longer a double N. And I said, no, it's true, let's go. We'll look at an old dictionary and I'll prove it to you. I'll find the one that I looked at in Indonesia. And I picked up the 2009 Oxford English Dictionary, and he picked up a different one with a different company that was similarly as old. We both picked it up, and there it was, B-A-N-A-N-A, no double N. And he was just panicky, and we went to somebody who had a master's degree in TESOL, and she said, well, it's never had a double N. And then a couple days later, she said, Kathlyn, I found something. And I said, yeah? She said, well, somebody was making a joke about President Trump, and they had a banana on the sign, and they showed a double N in banana. And I said, yeah, because that's how it was always spelled. But all that really proves is that we're experiencing different things, and that reality is not what we view it to be. And my positive thought that I wanted to just kind of leave for anyone who might have questioned this or experienced it is that we may actually just be very gently being shown that reality is not what we think it is, that we need to loosen up, that we need to relax, that we need to understand that we're in a universe that is quite complex. There's a lot more to it than we realize. We don't know everything. I'm making this video during a really difficult time. This is March, mid-March, and there's this whole coronavirus thing going on. People are panicky. It's understandable. I have various feelings and thoughts on the whole thing, which I won't share here because it would get political again. But in any case, as we go through our tribulations and our stresses and our anxieties, it is helpful to realize that the universe is quite complex, multifaceted, and or maybe even too simple, possibly, for us to understand. And that there's a lot of room for what's true. And it can be a real exploratory journey if we just allow it to be. And I believe we're being shown that at this time in history, that reality is not what we think it is. And that can be a great learning experience. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you hated this video, go ahead and make a comment. I would expect some people to tell me that I don't remember what I remember. That's okay, whatever. Let's share this. Let's share our ideas and make this a public forum. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Please subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel. If you did like the video, and take care. Bye.